stories that interest me are not just the sordid little stories of Hollywood. Somehow they transcend into tragedy.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see you all again. I hope you all have been well in the intervening months. It has been far too long. The last time that we were together, you may recall that we crisscrossed back and forth throughout the city, putting undue miles on our weary souls and cars, and making this extracurricular of ours just a little more arduous than it needed to be. So, this time around, I thought it would be nice if we kept things a little bit more central, and instead of pinging from disparate location to disparate location, I figured instead we would focus on one location and really get into it. But don't worry, this one location has enough history buried in the soil to keep us occupied for at least one lifetime. And as you've probably already guessed, that location is the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. This cemetery is probably my favorite place in Los Angeles. It's at least up there in the top 3. Its grounds are immaculately kept. It's one of the few places in Hollywood that you can park for free, and as far as public green spaces go, you can't beat the peace and quiet. That is, if you don't mind the occasional squawk of a peacock, or a swan, or occasionally being chased by a particularly hungry goose. Otherwise, it's a picturesque, serene oasis in the middle of a city that sometimes can feel as though it's out to get you. I try to make it by at least once a week and stroll around, have lunch, get a little sun, and make note of any new arrivals. And I am by no means the only one, because the Hollywood Forever Cemetery is home to a great many recently and not so recently departed stars of stage and screen, that it does draw a fair amount of daily tourists who get their maps from the gift shop. Yes, this cemetery has a gift shop, and go on little scavenger hunts of sorts to try to check off as many famous graves as they can before the cemetery closes down at sundown. Though those sundowns at the cemetery are not always quiet. And no, I'm not talking about ghosts or any other such poltergeist activity, at least not yet. We'll get into that sort of thing a little later, but rather, the Hollywood Forever Cemetery also hosts outdoor movie screenings on the Fairbanks lawn, as well as concerts both on that same lawn, as well as indoors at the former Masonic Lodge, right inside the gate off of Santa Monica Boulevard. And to top it all off, the grounds are home to an adorable feral cat colony, who lounge around during the day and keep the rats in check at night. I know this is starting to sound a little like a commercial for Hollywood Forever, but I assure you that I am collecting no money from them, and because of that, this series will begin next week by digging into the messy, bloody, crime-ridden history that led this place on the path to becoming the beacon of culture in Los Angeles, at which it now so comfortably resides. It's a road that began over 125 years ago and has been built slowly, brick by brick and plot by plot, increasing with every famous interred who is added to their stacked roster. I may have mixed metaphors a little there, but you get the idea. The number one draw of Hollywood Forever Cemetery are the many dearly departed celebrities who dot its nearly 63 acres. Truly, there are far too many for just one humble podcast. For every one of the eternal A-listers who occupy the Garden of Legends, there are hundreds of character actors, silent film players, and behind-the-scenes movers and shakers who molded the cultural makeup of this country, and, in a few cases, the physical makeup of the city of Los Angeles. What we will try to do, in our own small way, is to spotlight a small fraction of their stories, and try as we do to draw parallels, make connections, and pinpoint the ways in which these intersecting histories recontextualize and redefine one another. The why, however, is a little hard to answer. In fact, I don't know if I can actually answer that right now. I don't know if there is any import to be ascertained into digging into Hollywood Forever. It's not the only cemetery in town to host dead celebrities, though it's definitely the most theatrical about it. If I had to venture a guess at the outset, I would say that it has to do with my ongoing interest in the institutions that represent Hollywood as Hollywood would like to see itself. And in the case of Hollywood Forever, you can walk the grounds and mausoleums and see the different ways in which the industry has presented, for good and, in some cases, certainly for ill. Foucault said that you can tell a lot about a society by what it chooses to include and omit from its archives, and I believe that goes for people archives as well. And in this particular people archive, presence and absence are in constant conversation, as the different costumes that Hollywood has worn collide by virtue of their close proximity to one another. And I just feel there has to be something there. So, I do hope that you will join me next week and the following weeks as we talk about the stars, the criminals, and not just the ones who owned the cemetery, and the stars who were also criminals and or the victims of violent crimes. So, until then, be nice to the peacocks, don't feed the cats, and as always, drive safely. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for listening to Between the Dial, which was written, narrated, and produced by myself, Daniel Watkins. If you are enjoying the music you're listening to right now, that's by Chestnut. And if you're looking to get into the Halloween spirit this year, my wife and I, Christina, will be hosting horror movies every Wednesday in September and October on landturtlerecords.com. That's landturtlerecords.com. And lastly, please do rate and review the podcast if you have time. It really does help us out. Have a good night, y'all.